Department 1 of the Rising Supreme Court is now in session. Judge Adams presiding. Please be seated.
On case of Hiroshima versus Harry S. Truman.
My name is Jasmine, and I, along with Sartok, Sorab, and Sri, will be the prosecuting attorneys in today's trial. We are gathered here today in this court of justice and law to prove the guilt of this man, Mr. Harry S. Truman. On the 6th of August, in the year of 1945, the city of Hiroshima was bombed and devastated. On this day, approximately 70,000 people died, and thousands more were injured severely and irreparably in the days and months to follow. In the defense's case, you will hear that Mr. Truman is a patriot, that he was acting for the good of mankind. You will hear that his acts have saved countless numbers of lives and that he was protecting our country. But need I remind you, the Japanese are also human. They too feel the pain of war, grieve their losses, and rejoice for their victories. And by the law of the greatest country in the world, by being human, they reserve the natural rights that we enjoy. By being human, they reserve the right of life without worry, a life to enjoy just as does every man and woman in this courtroom today. By this nature, the defendant is guilty on charges of crimes against humanity for the ill wishing of mankind, for the forceful stripping of human rights, and for the intent of inhumane acts to cause horror, bodily and mental injury, and attempted extermination of the Japanese. So I say this now. What right does any man have to take the life of innocent people? Answer me this, ladies and gentlemen. By what powers Mr. Harry S. Truman justifiably allowed to take thousands and thousands of innocent lives away? Judge, jury, and all others present today, you are here to aid the process of law. This man is guilty of crimes against humanity that resulted in horrors beyond our wildest imagination. My hope throughout the duration of this trial is to have you understand the magnitude of the crimes that Mr. Truman has committed, and to reason through the defense's case and give this man what he deserves in the name of law and justice.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, standing before you today, it is my utmost duty to prove that there is much doubt in the fact that President Truman is guilty. There were several options for ending the war, including a ground force invasion and a demonstration of the bomb. The bomb took only 3% of the lives that would have been taken by an invasion. A demonstration of the bomb would not have been sufficient as well to end the war. It is very easy to look at the action Truman took of dropping the atomic bomb on Hiroshima, but in isolation, and then call it mass murder. But when we look at it in perspective, we see that Truman in fact saved many people, both Japanese and American. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is obvious that what Truman did was in fact not a crime against humanity. As the trial goes on, this will become more and more apparent, and I hope it will become clear to you what Truman did was the right decision. Thank you.
To find the defendant guilty, the prosecution must prove to you three things. First, that the defendant did give the executive order to drop the bomb. Second, that the order to drop the bomb was given with the malicious intent of killing civilians. And third, that the order to drop the bomb was given without negotiating, or trying to negotiate with the Japanese, or give them some sort of warning in a span of time that they would be able to evacuate. The prosecution must prove to you all three of these things beyond the reason.
Please state your first and last name.
My name is Hatsuyo Nakamura.
You may be seated.
And how exactly did you feel after the effects of the blast, or the blast itself?
Naturally, I felt sore, but that's something to be expected of. But the pain that hit me most was imagining what happened to my children.
And you state that the pain that hurt you most was what happened to your children. What exactly happened to your children after the blast?
After the blast, when I was covered in rubble, well, not completely, I saw my youngest daughter, Miyako, pleading for help. She was buried up to her chest, and I could not see where my other children were. I tried to pull her out, and soon after I was able to hear my other children's pleas. It was absolutely terrifying. It was something I cannot say I can ever get off my mind. And it's even worse for my children, who were so young.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to the best of your ability. Please state your first and last name. You may be seated.
So, what was your prior military engagement during the war and before?
I was, during the war, I was a commander of the Supreme Allied was militarily active in the U.S. country.
Where did you serve in the war, in World War II?
I served for the U.S. Army and the Allied FBI.
So all of your information about the bomb is from rumors and circulating speculation through the army.
Not all of the rumors, but a few accurate.
All right. So in the last examination that the prosecution did, you said yourself that the Japanese would need the atomic bomb to surrender, and it pushed them to an immediate surrender. Do you still believe this?
Prosecution may now call the next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The prosecution calls Admiral William D. Leahy to the stand.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to the best of your ability? Please state your first and last name.
William Lee.
You may be seated.
For the clarification of the court, could you please state your name and position in the U.S. Navy?
My name is William Daniel Lee. I was Fleet Admiral. And then Chief of Staff.
So how many years did you work in this position?
I worked in the U.S. Navy for 42 years, retired, and then was recommissioned by President Roosevelt for another 17 years as Chief of Staff.
So how much experience did you have with the Navy of the Japanese?
I would say I'm no rush.
So how strong was the Japanese position in the Pacific Ocean at that time, before the bomb was dropped?
None.
So what plans were going on currently before the bomb was dropped?
We had a very successful sea blockade on the resources.
So how successful was this blockade of Japan?
Objection, speculative.
So what were the possibilities? Could you was any agreement with Japan tried to set up?
Not to my knowledge.
So how much information did you know about the atomic bomb?
You're very little.
So how much, if the information that you did get, how much did you doubt the effectiveness of the bomb?
I do not doubt the effectiveness of this barbaric weapon.
Did you doubt the weapon in any circumstances, or?
I doubted.
If we had not dropped the bomb, would you support a military invasion?
No.
Then what is a sea blockade?
Sea blockade would block their treaty centers.
And would that not have American soldiers go in and invade Japan?
Not very good. Sea areas, yes.
So technically we are still invading.
To be taken into consideration.
So if we are invading, then over 260,000 casualties from the United States side would have taken place, am I right? Yeah, so if we are trying to keep our civilians safe and a sea blockade was to kill over 268,000 of our civilians as Chief of Staff of the United States, is it not your duty to protect our civilians?
It is, but yet have you considered that we have also been bombing using successful weapons?
I'm asking you a question right now. So, was there a chance of an atomic bomb attack on the United States from any country such as Japan or Russia?
No.
But then according to numerous studies, which if needed we would state, they found that Japan was to drop the A-bomb a month after, and that if we hadn't dropped it, then the war would still be continued. What is more important to you as the admiral of your nation, the lives of your people or the enemies winning the war?
The lives of our people.
But if the lives of your people are more important, then if we didn't drop the bomb, stated that Japan was close to surrendering after dropping the bomb. Did you support this stance? Okay. That's all.
Thank you. The prosecution would like to ask the witness any further questions.
No further questions, Your Honor.
The witness is then excused. Does the prosecution have any further witnesses?
No further witnesses, Your Honor. Prosecution rests.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to the best of your ability?
Yes, Lord.
Please state your first and last name.
Yoshua Mishima.
You may be seated.
Proceed. How did you set out to reach this goal of dropping the bomb on the United States in 1945?
We had multiple planes that we were developing and they were evolving, and soon we would have one that would actually be able to, in a two-way trip, be able to develop the line.
Was Japan near to surrendering at this point?
No.
Who led the nuclear weapons program?
Not really.
Were the Allies aware of Japan's nuclear ambitions after uranium shipment through Magic Decrypts?
Yes, Magic Decrypts let the United States OSS learn about Japan's nuclear ambitions.
Was there anything that occurred in 1944 that 1.3 million yens were spent on?
Perhaps, yes. In 1944, 1.3 million yen was funded by the government for the purpose of military and nuclear research.
So once again, Japan was planning to attack the United States in 1945.
Yes, we did have a plan to set an aerial
Did they
attack.
have the fissile material to construct and detonate a bomb?
Yes, we.
You created chemical weapons, did you not?
Yes.
Describe these weapons.
One weapon in particular would be plague, flea, infected supplies, infected clothing encased in a bomb, and we dropped this on various locations in China, and the resulting diseases such as cholera, anthrax, and plague were estimated to have killed over 400,000 Chinese civilians. We tied up some civilians to stakes and used them as target for these specific weapons.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to the best of your ability? Please state your first and last name.
Harry Truman.
You may be seated.
Every civilian in Japan who was killed or harmed involved in this plane to send rockets to San Diego.
No, they weren't.
Okay, so did you, so when you dropped the bomb, you dropped it believing that you would be saving the most amount of lives you possibly could.
That is correct.
Saying that it is my opinion that after the Russians entered the war, the Japanese will fold up, and he's already ended the war and dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
It is to show that he knew of another option, yet a more peaceful option, yet he did not take it.
What peaceful option
What
is
peaceful
stated?
option is stated in this letter?
An alliance with the Soviet Union. Soviet Union, he knew that it would have ended the war quickly while saving more lives and causing less
Where
destruction
does it
with
say that it
Russia.
would cause less destruction or save more lives? It just says that they would enter the war with the Russians and they would destroy
Still be a ground
It would still be a
invasion.
ground
The show
invasion
was very
which would kill 5 million people.
Japanese still lose.
The prosecution may now
Okay, so first I would like to address the malicious intent that the prosecution said you had. So first, can I please define what malicious intent is for the jury?
Yes.
So it is an intent without the cause or reason, with the cause to harm others. So basically the sole intent of malicious intent is to harm others and for evil purposes. So did you believe you were saving lives when you dropped the bomb?
I did.
Okay, so how many lives were you told that you would save?
Versus the atomic bomb, we would have saved millions of lives, and that goes to save for the American lives. There's 1.2 million lives within American lives were being used during the ground force invasion, whereas the atomic bomb had sacrificed American lives.
Okay. So was your intent for them to be able to evacuate and get away?
That's correct.
Okay, so it sounds like your ultimate goal was to save as many lives as possible. Is this correct?
That is correct.
And the atomic bomb, did the atomic bomb save more lives than any of the other options?
It did.
Okay, so you did in fact warn the Japanese citizens of the bomb and you warned the citizens of Hiroshima of the bomb.
That's correct.
So in the end, you were trying to save as many lives as you can with the leaflets and by dropping the bomb instead of a ground force invasion.
That's correct.
singled out. Are the defense and prosecution ready with their final arguments?
This man over here, Mr. Harry S. Truman, is guilty of committing war crimes regarding his actions with the events at Hiroshima. He, being the President of the United States, is given a significant amount of power by our Constitution, but nowhere in any Constitution, governing document, or even religion, for that matter, is the ability to kill thousands and thousands of people justified to any man or woman. So where, may I ask, did Truman get justifications or the right to order this ruthless mass slaughter? You're sitting on your front porch with your family, living peaceful lives as people should be. Your children are playing in the lawn. Your neighbor calls to you and you go over to talk about your lawns or your yards. Then all of a sudden, you see a blinding flash. Then imagine yourself being blasted by a shockwave so powerful, it knocks you off your feet and launches you backwards. Next thing you know, everything is on fire. You run towards what would have been your house, only to find a pile of rubble. You see a figure on the lawn and run towards it, recognizing it as the shape of your fallen child. You take a look at the figure's face, only to find a burned skull covered by bits and pieces of muscle. And then you realize what happened. That child will never be able to speak again, nor be the source of your life. You hold the dead child in your arms, but the skeleton slips through your arms, leaving you with bird's skin. You look around and see that everything you ever knew is in ashes or pieces. Everything has been destroyed, mostly, if not completely. Would you be able to justify that? Ladies and gentlemen, that is how the people of Hiroshima felt. While Mr. Truman was being examined by the defense, he himself said that yes, it was him who ordered the attack. What is better in proving this point than to have the accused admit to it himself? Truman states that he knew the Japanese would not accept his terms. I, being an attorney, am concerned that the law does not let the horrid crimes of this man go unnoticed. I am sure, however, that our law will give this man the justice of his guilt. It is up to you, the jury, to do your job and make sure law does not let such war crimes prevail. So I leave you to decide with the final word. People of the jury, do your job. Thank you for your time.
We stand here today to determine the fate of the President of the United States, Harry S. Truman. On the first day of the trial, Admiral Leahy stated the U.S. was never planning a full-scale invasion. It didn't drop the bomb, only a naval blockade on Japan. He repeatedly said this over and over again. Both Defense Exhibit 2 and the Truman testimony, both of which go unchallenged on this matter, prove that Leahy was part of the Operation Downfall governing board. This directly contradicts what Leahy told the court on Monday and exposes the fact that he has lied under oath about this matter. Cross it out, continue. Why are you acquitting Truman of any charges? According to the judge, there are three things the prosecutor must conclusively prove are true, without reasonable doubt. Truman did give the order to drop the bomb, but there is no basis for disagreeing with the statement. However, he did not choose the target for this bomb. He was told that Hiroshima would be a possible target, but the person that chose this target was his advisor, Stimson. Going on to the second criteria, Truman dropped the bomb with malicious intent. Truman warned the Japanese in their cities, all the civilians on the ground, all the destructive power of the atomic bomb and the fact that it would be dropped on their cities if they did not surrender. I want to leave you with this. Justice is something that every citizen in the world is entitled to. And in the laws of justice, proving someone guilt is a sacred thing. It's a legal precedent that it's better to let 100 guilty individuals walk free than convict one innocent individual. For any individual to be guilty, there must not be doubt left, or reasonable doubt left. That is the nature of our justice system and the world justice system. The first witness, Eisenhower, told you the bomb was necessary for the Japanese surrender. The second witness lied in court. The third witness told you about the nature of the bomb didn't actually prove anything for the 3 points. This is far from proof without doubt, and for that alone, you will not acquit this man. Imagine you're a little kid sitting in Pearl Harbor. Japanese have been peaceful, off the radar for a very long time. Suddenly you look up and bombs are raining down on you. You die, your family dies. Look to this. Don't look to Hiroshima. The citizens of Hiroshima were warned by President Truman. This was a country that was creating nuclear bombs and chemical bombs to drop on the USA and kill millions of civilians. Pearl Harbor was an unprecedented, unprovoked attack. Both sides have emotional appeals they can give you. Don't look to their emotional appeal. We were looking to the facts, the 3 different criteria, and in this, we have won the case.
You must come to a unanimous verdict. We'll call you back 5 minutes for 1 minute period.
Or if you reach a verdict before.
Or if you come to a verdict before, for some reason. Please send the verdict to the bailiff. Will the defendant please rise? finds the defendant not guilty. Mr. Truman, you are free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Court is now adjourned.